Hello, everybody. This is Kody Bateman. Welcome to a brand new episode of Promptings with Kody B. I've got a great show for you today. A guy by the name of Paul Maxwell. Paul's an account executive with eCredit Advisor based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a credit repair company. He's been a very successful entrepreneur building this company as well as an insurance company. And one of his great contributions to society is his charitable work that he does. He's got a website that he founded at theangelcc.com, www.theangelcc.com, which is a charitable organization. What's cool about Paul Maxwell is his stories. This guy, I mean, he is the epitome of a guy that acts on his promptings every day and does something significant with the promptings. So we all get promptings. This guy, for years and years before he ever even knew us, always received these promptings, but he always did something very significant with his promptings. And you're going to love his stories. Just great stories. These are the kind of people that we want on our show all the time because they're living the philosophy of prompting. So hope you enjoyed the show. Come on back and see us, and we'll be talking to my dear friend, Paul Maxwell. And there he is, Mr. Paul Maxwell. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Kody. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, we just love having you. I love your stories. I'm looking forward to jumping right into several of your stories. You know, we started this thing called Promptings many years ago and created ways to help people act on their promptings. And one of the coolest things is watching people actually do it. You know, watching people like yourself who have latched on to our mechanism called SendOutCards, and you use it as a way to act on your promptings every day. And your stories are unbelievable, dude. I mean, they're just amazing. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right in now. You know, we did an introduction of you. You've had great success with your charitable foundations and, you know, building an insurance business and all the other things that you've done in the credit repair company that you've done. You've had a lot of success, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about what you've done to create connections with your business and stuff. But let's start out. I mean, you're a promptings guy. I mean, that you're just I loved hearing stories about how, in fact, even the story that you tell about 20 years ago when you were riding a bicycle across the country. Can you tell, I want to start with that story. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about what that experience was and what it did for you? Because it ties into acting on promptings. So let's hear that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't believe it's been 20 years, but yeah, it was the summers of 2003. So it's been 20 years. It was acting on the ultimate prompting. I had this urge, and there was this program that let you bike across America. We left Connecticut and biked all the way across. It was for Habitat for Humanity. So we actually built houses along the way. We had to raise $4,000 to go. We got a bicycle and maps, and there was no iPhones or anything. It was quite a ride.
So how many people were on the ride with you?
There were 30. It was a program from out of Yale University. I didn't go to Yale, but it was mostly Yale students. There was a few other colleges that we kind of heard about it. So you didn't have to go to Yale as a prerequisite. So it was 15 men, 15 women, and we got on Cannondale R400s, and we left Yale New Haven under police escort, and we rode our bicycles 80 to 130 miles every day, except for the days we were building. And then 63 days later, we found ourselves across the country.
That is amazing. So where would you sleep at night?
We slept on floors and churches, and when we got in the woods and, like, you know, the mountains out west, we camped. Actually, it was insane. We would bike all day in the mountains and then camp at campsites in the woods with tents and everything. We had one van that had our support van, so we had a trailer, to fix our bikes. We had one of the guys on the trip was a bike mechanic that was super helpful. And our coolers of food, because the leaders would drive ahead of us and set up little lunch stops. Our metabolisms were going at an incredible rate. So we were eating so much, and every 40 miles we would have little lunch stops. So it's pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a book titled Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
I have not.
You got to look that up. I think that's what it is. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a philosophy book, but it reminds me of this experience. It's a story about a guy and his son who get on a motorcycle and drive across the country, and they camp out at night, and he gets into all this, philosophy that he thinks about at night and writes in journals. Because you did a lot of journal writing during this 63 days, right?
I did, yeah, every night. And I had one book on my back. I had Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, he's the ultimate journaler, in my opinion, because his journal, I don't know if you're familiar with the work, his Meditations, he intended it for it to be destroyed. So this was his personal journal that now is one of the greatest literary works, in my opinion, that's ever been
written. Sure.
Yeah, and was on my back the whole way in my camelback. So yeah, that hit home for sure, Kody. That's a kindred spirit with that gentleman for sure.
Yes, it's interesting. So you're on a bike, you're riding across the country. So you're exposed to all the elements. So you're experiencing all the elements each and every day. You're getting physical exercise. You've got this philosophy on your back, this book, amazing stuff. You have a journal that you're writing in. It's literally all of the pieces that connect your mind with your potential, really, if that makes sense. And the reason I'm sharing that is that's kind of what the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance book talks about. It talks about, because you're doing all these things at the same time, it really connects your mind with who you really are and what you should be doing in your life. So kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a realignment of perception to the nth degree. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, so while you were doing this, you started writing journals about some vision that you had, things that you wanted to do with your life. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was planning my big music career. So I had lyrics. I had daily journals about the rides each day, like, the different adventures that we had and conversations. And then what's amazing is I planned this big multi-chapter philanthropic conglomerate that has now actually taken 20 years to materialize. But it's amazing finding that page with having all these different programs. I had this idea to have, different programs, not just, pigeonhole one charity into one particular avenue in terms of their recipients, right? But have something that took care of kids, something that took care of soldiers, that took care of, and what's funny is in there was something called Try for Kids. I was biking and I was running, so I was going to host a triathlon. And what's funny is we never did Try for Kids, but my program, that's the oldest one, that's 10 years, is called Swing for Their Kids. So the name for that was 20 years, that first seed for the name for Swing for Their Kids. And in that program's, I think one of my favorite, we make Santa Claus come true for every single fallen police officer in the state of Nevada. So any police officer that's been killed since 2014, we get the actual Christmas wish list from the families. We buy them. The presents are elaborately decorated and wrapped. And then on Christmas Eve, Metro officers deliver them to all the families. That's actually probably, I'm more proud of that than actually riding a bicycle across America, honestly, Kody, if I had to tell you.
Well, it's amazing how you thought about it. You wrote it down in journals. You went through years of preparation and whatnot. And I was actually just on your website before the show, the charity website. Could you share with us where that's at?
Of course, yeah. It's just simply theangelcc.com.
The Angel, and everybody take note, theangelcc.com. Go check that out if you're listening.
I know, not plural, it's Angel singular, theangelcc.com.
Okay, theangelcc.com. You want to check that out and take a look at it. It was pretty interesting as I looked on there. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. You do a lot of work in different areas that supports so many different types of people: homeless kids, fallen police officers. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to see that. And I love hearing stories where there was a vision in your mind. That's a prompting. The prompting came to you that you needed to do this. And I think it had something to do with your mom, or was your mom or your grandmother?
It was my grandmother. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my grandmother, on the website, you'll see a picture of all the grandkids with her in her last birthday in her Mets jersey. She was an avid Mets fan. And she called all of us her angels. Everything was my angel, my angel, my angel, my angel. So it was that summer that I first started the Swing for Their Kids. We had the two police officers were horrifically murdered in Las Vegas in the summer of 2014. So that was the initial prompting for that Swing for Their Kids. My best friend was Metro. He told me that the two officers that were murdered both had infants. So these two officers, we've been playing Santa for their kids their whole lives. Kat's 9, and we've done every single one of her Christmases. So that prompting was so strong. And then my grandmother passed away that summer as well, or that fall. So it was, I think the combination of that sort of just, I felt an urge to do something, maybe in the midst of like the grieving process, who knows, but it was a motivating factor for sure.
Well, you're certainly doing some wonderful things and seeing that. I noticed, for those who are watching this on YouTube, behind your shoulder there, you got all those things up on your wall. Tell us a little bit, because you were telling me in the pre-show a little bit about what's on your wall behind you there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, I want to talk about my Giants collection, but no, this is
yeah. That too.
Yeah, this is it's not good. The 40-year-old virgin. I'm right now. It's all the toys. But this is all the different flyers we've had from all the different tournaments. So like that one that my finger's pointing to, that was the first flyer for the first tournament that I did. Oh my goodness. I had the idea at my Thanksgiving table in New York. I was in Long Island and my whole family was together. And it was our first Christmas without my grandmother, and everyone's clinking and clacking the food. And it's a 7,000 square foot home and, all whatever. And everything kind of got blurry. And like, I remember just thinking about that family. And I was like, I'm sad because my grandmother's not here. I was like, can you imagine how sad they would be? This is their first Christmas without your dad. And that was that thought. And that was Thanksgiving. And I did my first tournament. Like, it was like 2 weeks later. I just opened my insurance agency. I got a few people together, a few teams. There were like 5 teams, 3 sponsors. I had the budget of $395 per kid. I would have done it myself, I always say, but I'd spent my last $20,000 on my franchise fee. I had no money. I'd opened my insurance agency that in October. So it was like, that summer, it was pretty hectic. So, but that started this whole big crazy thing. So it's amazing how that one idea, right?
And what I love about your stories is they really convey exactly what our message is all about. I talk all the time about, prompting is an intuitive thought that enters your mind. And you've shared with us many promptings that you've had, but you do something with them. I mean, you have these stuff. I think almost everybody has these grandiose thoughts. I should do this, or I should do that, or God, it'd be cool. Or you find out there's a fallen police officer, and your heart goes out to that person. You take it a step further by saying, "What can I do for that family?" That's a prompting. And what's cool is that you continually act, like you do stuff. Like, I hear your stories and it's almost exhausting. It's like, how in the heck did you do all this? You had no money, starting an entrepreneur, starting a new business, and you go out and do these charity things and golf tournaments. I mean, I'm just like, I got to catch my breath to even stay up with your story. I mean, how did you have the energy to get through all that?
Yeah, I make a joke about being a Christmas elf, honestly, Kody, that we have more energy than humans, and we only sleep 45 minutes, so I don't sleep very much. No, I don't know. I've always been, uh, I'm just a do. There's a. I mean, obviously, I got in a bicycle and rode across America, so I might be wound up a little bit more
Yeah.
than others, but in terms of, for me, it's the action behind it, obviously, right? It's the action that actually does it. And I
The
probably,
action creates more energy,
for sure, and then it's
yeah,
momentum. So we went
yeah,
from our first tournament to now hopefully we're going to be doing two, and we've gotten into like one of the most prestigious golf courses in Las Vegas. And even the gala last year, our gala was our first one. I played piano. Jordan actually emceed it. It was awesome. We did the $100, the $100 auction, the
yeah,
signature. He
yeah.
got 3.2 million. I got $5,000, dude. I was happy.
Wow. Isn't that something?
But I played Moonlight Sonata, and we auctioned $100 bill, and we got $6,700 for me playing Moonlight Sonata. Man, it was so cool. But definitely,
So,
go ahead.
yeah. So when you got introduced to SendOutCards many years ago, it appears that because of the personality you have and how you naturally act on promptings, it was probably a marriage made in heaven when you saw this product, wasn't it? I mean, you really grasped on to the SendOutCards mission of acting on promptings, and you've done some incredible things. I think you call it your secret weapon.
I do.
SendOutCards is your secret weapon, and it's kind of cool to see. We talked today about having the perfect customer avatar for promptings and SendOutCards. There's millions of people that are the perfect fit for what we offer. And as a marketer, that's what you ultimately seek is the perfect customer avatar, the person that naturally aligns with your product. You naturally align with our product. So, and you call it your secret weapon. So tell us a little bit about how you use the mechanism called SendOutCards.
I do. Yeah, I do. I absolutely call it that. From personally, just from being able to send cards to my niece and nephew on the other side of the country to, I recruited some people. We sent this little sick child in the Carolinas a card every single day, a Christmas card for years. I mean, we did it. I love it because it lets you be different. And I guess I like being different. I don't like being, the norm. So SendOutCards is an incredible advantage in terms of that. For my insurance business, I had a gentleman who was so upset about a claim because the tree fell on the neighbor's house and whatnot. I sent a funny card, with trees and comics and police officers and a box of brownies, and man, the claims went so much differently for my staff after that. People were living in this horrible digital world of just intangible touches of just garbage. And when you can actually stop someone and they open the mail and they read that, and there's like that, it's different. It's tangible, like you guys are with, like we always say. And it's been amazing. I had one of the greatest experiences of my life in terms of being Mary Wilson of the Supremes last personal assistant, all because of SendOutCards and using a little creativity and thinking outside the box. Is it okay if I go into that?
Yeah, tell us the Mary Wilson story. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, Mary, I listened to Mary growing up, as a child of the 80s and everything. My mom listened to her all the time. And so I was at a BNI event in Las Vegas, and I was in a very large group, and Mary Wilson was a visitor. So it was pretty cool to have her there. And she was very nice and very gracious. She took photos with us all at the end that wanted her take them with her. So as soon as I left that meeting, I went back to my office, and, instead of just posting on social media, look at me with Mary, I went to SendOutCards. I went to Photofunia. And if you don't know that website, that's the key, because you can do so many cool, fun things. And I grabbed images of Mary and the Supremes when they were younger, and I was thinking, she's going to like this card. She's going to want to see, her singing when she was young and beautiful, and singing. She's still beautiful, but, so I filled the 3-panel card with all images of her. I put it was Supreme having you at our meeting, and and just filled it with images. And on the back, I put the picture of us, the selfie that we took, and I just thanked her for coming and being so sweet. And I sent her some boxy brownies. And I think the key to this whole thing, and I mean, it's just the key to the real law of reciprocity, is things come back when you send it and you don't expect it, right? It's that true when you give and you don't expect it, because they never believed I would ever hear from her. You know, I was like, this is 10, but I'm sending her a box of brownies, I'm sending her a card. And then it was crazy. And I showed you, like, you know, months later, I get the personal handwritten card, you know, thanking me for the brownies and saying, like, your card and photos were lovely. That was the last sentence she wrote. And, you know, that led to her then calling me, because the card was so good. She called me on my cell phone, called me out of the blue. I couldn't believe it, you know, saying, is this the Paul Maxwell that, you know, sent me the card? I was like, yes, ma'am. She wanted to know how I did it. And that led to me going to her office and helping her build this big card. We filled it with photo images of Florence Ballard. She was one of the initial members of the Supreme that passed away early. So we were trying to get her a stamp. And but I spent 20 hours in Mary's personal office in her house. And it was just the most amazing experience. It really was. It was, and all because, like I said, being creative, thinking outside the box. But how do I do that without SendOutCards? I can't.
Yeah, that's a great story. You know, we say around here all the time that life is a collection of stories. And when you act on promptings, it's a great segue to collect amazing stories. And that's what you're doing. I mean, you collect amazing stories. The story about Mary, that's a collection of a masterpiece story, you know. And if my dad kind of planted that seed in my life. He used to always tell me when I was growing up, you know, he'd say, son, life is a collection of stories. So you just want to wake up every day and go and look for a great story, you know, and that's how he lived his life. And that's how you live yours. And it's kind of cool to hear your stories. It's great.
Well, I appreciate that, Kody. Thank you. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, listen, like I said, you've built successful insurance business, credit repair business. This, again, I want to refer back to the charitable website again for everybody. So can you say that for us one more time?
Of course, yeah. It's www.theangelcc.com. And Angel is ANGELCC.com. And you got to have the word the too.
Got it. www.theangelcc.com. So everyone want to go refer back and look at that. And great tribute on there about your grandmother too, which I thought was really cool. So listen, man, we could go on all day. You've got amazing stories to tell. But one of the things I like to do with those who come on this show is, you know, I've kind of asked a bunch of questions, and now I like to usually close by giving you the floor. It's like, no more questions, you know, this just any words of wisdom, final stories to give, whatever it is that you want, that you feel like I gave you an opportunity to act on a prompting right now. You know, what does our audience need to hear from you to close the show out today? So the floor is yours. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, Kody, I wish I would have prepared something, Kody. Wow.
Well, part of the key is not preparing. Part of the key is just
I understand.
First thought is, yeah.
Well played. No, for, you know, I know for the SendOutCards, and especially, you know, I think we're all just marbles. I'll end with that. I've got a theory and a philosophy that we're all just marbles playing the game, bouncing around, hitting each other. And I call our interaction the ricochet. And the ability with SendOutCards, the ability that we have with our marbles to ricochet other people is profound. So I would say, please understand the profundity, right, is the word, of this ability to touch people, especially with how we're living in a horribly divided world. Man, do we need kindness more than ever. And I wish we would all just focus on, realize that we're all just people. We're all just marbles. I call us marbles. I'm plugging my book that's coming out too, by the way, my manuscript I've been working on for years. But I wish we would focus on just that. Just like Marcus says, we're supposed to be just the left and right hand together. We're supposed to be the upper and lower jaw. So enough of this. I don't care what you are and whatever, like, let's just be nice to each other and work together. And we'll end with that.
Beautiful message, my friend. I love the marble story. So the book coming out, is it about marbles? Like what is
it? Is, and I'll show you. This was Mary's. I got this autograph from Mary in the last prompting story. The last time I saw Mary in her kitchen was December before she died. She died in March. And I had this urge, and I never asked Mary for anything like this, ever. And I had this urge, and I didn't even know about the book. I've been working on this for 5 years. I had a cigar with Jordan 5 years ago, and he told me to start them. I've been writing this darn thing forever. And this is I think it's the last autograph she ever gave, because she passed away in March. No one was going to her home. So yeah, so there's the shameless plug. There's the shameless plug for my book coming. All right.
Yeah, that's great. So we are all just marbles. That'll be the name of the book, right?
Yeah, I just think we're all just marbles. Yes, sir.
Whatever I can do to help you promote that as it comes out, I'd be happy to do, and I'd love to be a part of that. So I love your stories. I'm sure the book will share some of these amazing stories, and just very excited for what you're doing, the example that you give to all of us. We just really appreciate it very much. That's what this show is all about. It's just highlighting people that act on promptings, and the significance that you're making, the impact that you're making in the world is just amazing. So there you have it, my friends. Paul Maxwell. And again, go to www.theangelcc.com. Check out his philanthropy. And I'd like to get you back on the show again, especially when the book comes out. That'd be great.
Let's do it. You're I have cards that when you did your release, I was with Jordan. I wrote these cards out to I Am in Vegas. Remember when you did your release? I was there. Yeah. I don't know if you remember me. I'm the one that stood up and you said I had a cool radio voice. I asked the question.
I do remember.
You have a cool radio voice.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was
the face for radio too, right?
That was at the Monday's Dark place, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, that's great.
So we'll do marbles. Thanks. We'll do marbles there. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks again for being with us, and we hope to see you real soon.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Take care, everybody. Remember, let's go out and help people act on their promptings every day. And like Paul shared with us in the show today, we do live in a very divided world, and we have a way to bring people back together again. We have a way to help people create human connection, to be those marbles that ricochet off of each other. And at the end of the day, we need each other. And that's just all there is to it. And so let's go make that happen. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on another episode. Take care now.